Welcome in, men, women, and children. And Logan,
Hot.
I come in
Thank you.
hot every time.
Yep.
Every time I come in hot.
Not ready for it.
I was told that multiple times when I was on TV that you start out here and then you go down here. So there we go. I'm continuing the theme.
I believe it.
Welcome in. Thanks for joining. I'm Craig. That's Logan. This is No One Asked Us. Episode 98. 98 things of these. It is September 11th, 2023. 22 years. We remember 9/11. But thanks for joining us. Follow us on our social media. It is listed on the screen on the YouTube if you're listening to the podcast after the fact. It is in the description. Give us a like. Give us a subscribe to keep those numbers going up and really help us out quite a bit. We were just less than 450 subscribers when football started. That's gone up by about 10 or 15. So keep going, keep subscribing, and we'll take this thing as far as you will let us, I guess. But yes, it is 22 years since 9/11. Every year about this time, I go back and I just catch myself watching the coverage and just reliving that day, and did the same today. And I can't believe it's been 22 years. I don't want to talk too much about it, but I feel like we need to talk about it a little bit. I put the little logo up in the corner. So, yeah, it's have you been to New York? You have, right?
I have. Yes.
So
was there in 2018.
When were you there in 2018?
Or maybe it's 2019. No, it was 2018. It was October.
Oh, okay. I was last day of February, first day of March. So
yeah, it was later in the year. I was there for a wedding. I think it was in October. But yeah, we went to the to Ground Zero. We went to the museum and all that stuff. A lot to take in.
Yeah,
it's a lot to take in. I mean, we're about the same age. You're a year older than me, but I find it hard to go back.
So you were in fourth grade? No, fifth grade.
Fifth.
Yeah, I was in sixth. Yeah.
I find it hard to revisit some of it. That museum, or whatever you call it, in New York there's a lot. There's a lot to take in there.
The word I tell everyone is heavy.
It's very heavy.
It's heavy.
Very heavy. You could honestly stay there for hours and absorb all of it, but you will struggle.
Yeah.
You'll struggle.
Yep.
Yeah, it's definitely heavy. That's a good way to describe it. It's just one of those things that we as Americans don't want to remember, but it's something we do, and it's a part of who we are. It's a part of who our country is. Always remembering, those that, we lost that day, those days. There's a lot to it. And it's hard to think that it was 22 years ago.
Yeah.
Just doesn't seem right. But I remember it very vividly, or obviously, just like everybody else. Remember where I was, what I was doing, what class I was in. We're talking about it at work. I'm sure everybody was with coworkers, where you were, what you were doing that day, reading a lot of things on social media about people posting, how their lives changed that day. And it's a lot. It's a lot to take in, but still hard to believe it's been 22 years.
Yeah. If you're ever in New York, go to the Memorial Museum, take the guided tour. It's my number one suggestion. Take the guided tour.
Yeah, I don't know if we did the guided tour or not.
It was enlightening and cool to see, but at the same time, I don't think anyone outside of the tour guides said a word. Everyone was just kind of walking around, and you could see on their faces. It's just it's so emotional and heavy. But yeah, can't believe it's been 22 years. But
yeah, I was there in October of 2018. Just looked it up.
Okay, I was there for Big Ten tournament 2018.
Yep. So I remember.
I remember
when you were there.
March. Yeah, by myself. I was thinking that too as I was going through all this, and I did the whole. I spend way too much time on Google Maps and Google Street View. I do that if I'm bored. That's what I do. Same. I just get on maps and zoom into places. And I went there and I panned over to the thing. And I was like, man, I was just walking around Lower Manhattan, Ground Zero, by myself for 5 hours. Like, what is wrong with me? But that's neither here nor there. Okay, we remember all that, and prayers and thoughts to all the families that continue to deal with that. We do have football to talk about, though. As we move on, yeah, I mean, we don't have to. We totally planned on doing a post-game show Friday night, and just before halftime, we each I was thinking it. One of us texted the other, like, I have no interest in doing a post-game show. I won't say who it was, but one of us said, I don't want to talk about this. I was like, okay. And then the other person responded, what if Illinois comes back? And there was a laughing GIF sent in response to that. And then they almost came back.
That's true. It is true. So the conversation did not pick up at that point. I was kind of waiting, for a text at one point to be like, you want to do it?
If it would have got a little bit closer, there would have been a text like, are you sure we shouldn't talk about this for a little bit? But it was Friday night, whatever, late. I don't care. Illinois lost 34-23 to Kansas in Lawrence. It was 28-7 at half. Is that right?
Yep. Yeah.
28-7 at half. Illinois scores with a minute and a half, less than a minute left in the first half. You're like, okay, 2-score game going into half. Hold them when they get the ball coming out of the second half. Go down, score. Like, this is still a game. And then Illinois scored with 41 seconds left. And then Kansas goes down and scores a 1-yard touchdown run with 5 seconds left. A 4-play, 75-yard drive in 36 seconds. That really, I don't want to say ended it, because Illinois did get it down to the game that ended up 11 points. But that was kind of the backbreaker. You score with 41 seconds left. You're feeling good. And then they just, I think it was 2 30-yard plays down inside the red zone. And then they just punch it in with a 1-yard run. It just was not a lot of good to take from it. The second half fight was great, but you can only do that. You can't keep doing that. You can't. It's 2 games in a row. They've dug themselves in a double-digit hole, 2-possession hole, and they're not able to come back. Jalen Daniels was fantastic, 21 for 29, 277 yards through the air, as well as 11 carries for 24 yards. So not great on the ground, but he was hitting open receivers. There was he wasn't even thrown into coverage. They were all pretty wide open. Devin Neal, 10 carries for 120 yards and a touchdown for them. For Illinois, I'll continue to say it. Luke Altmaier's a dude. 19 for 28, 1 touchdown. He did have 2 interceptions, but they were crazy interceptions. They were tipped and by multiple guys, and Kansas caught them as they were falling. So don't really fault him for those, although they weren't great throws. But he also led in rushing, 13 carries for 70 yards with a long of 72, which tells you that he got sacked a ton, because his sack yardage comes into play there as well. Isaiah Williams finally got going, 6 carries for 99 yards. Okay, don't want to – I guess we probably didn't need to dive into the stats because it's been 3 days ago. But how do you feel on Monday evening after a 11-point loss to Kansas in Lawrence?
I know I said on this show a week ago I picked Illinois to win that game. I didn't have a ton of confidence with that pick. So I wasn't exactly going into this game on Friday night expecting a ton. I do think Illinois. I was true with what I said. I did think Illinois could win that game. But I think at the end of the day, I think Kansas is a better team than we thought. And I think Illinois is not quite where we want them to be. I think that's the moral of the story. I think there are certainly high points to this Illinois team. We know about the parts of this team that have been well documented. The defensive front. Luke Altmaier's, gonna have a good career in the orange and blue. But there's some issues. There's definitely some issues that need to be worked out, and I don't know at what point you figure that out. There's not much left before you get into the Big Ten schedule and things get a little bit more challenging. So that starts this weekend. I have no faith. I don't want to say I don't have faith, but expectations are very low that you win this game this weekend. So, you kind of have to figure out where your wins are going to come from. I don't think I'm not ready to write off the season. I know I've said that it's 55 days till basketball season, but I'm not totally ready to, but who's counting? I'm not totally ready to write it off. But there has been, I think we were both a little, what was our take going into this season? We were
we didn't have many question marks because we trusted Bielema and we thought, and there's a comment in here from Jay, we thought that the lines were going to carry this team, which is where you build your football team. You build from the line out,
right?
But it's been totally opposite. I don't know if that's where you were going, because that was going to be my take, so I don't want to take your take away from you.
No, that's fine. The point is, I just don't think this team is exactly what we thought we were getting. Collectively, not just one thing in particular. Yes, the lines I do think are an issue on both sides. I just don't know how those things exactly get resolved during the course of the season, but we're about to find out because you're running out of time to do it. So yeah.
So we'll start with, there's a couple things you said there. We'll start with Kansas, and I tweeted it after the game. First half I was a mess. I was a wreck. Had a bunch of thoughts going through my head. The comeback started a little bit. In the second half, they looked like a competent team, and I was like, okay, this is the team we thought. And I tweeted it. I said, Kansas is a legit top 3 or 4 Big 12 team. Had a couple of people push back on me on that, but I think I stand by it. I think outside of Texas and Oklahoma and Kansas State, those are the 3 ranked Big 12 teams right now. Who's 4th? Cincinnati's 2-0. Oklahoma State's 2-0, almost lost to Arizona State. UCF is 2-0, almost lost to Boise State. Houston's 1-1, almost lost to Rice. Iowa State's terrible. TCU, we just don't know after they got the doors blown. Didn't get the doors blown off of them, but they lost to Colorado week 1. I don't even know who they played last week. I think Kansas is legitimately probably right there.
Yeah, I wouldn't rule it out. I mean, Jalen Daniels is the real deal, and at that level of football, a stud quarterback can take you places. So, I mean, I wouldn't rule that out. I do think this is a pretty good Kansas team. I mean, they're not in the top 25 this week. They are, receiving votes. I think they're like 30th probably when you count it up.
So that's
again,
That was my first thing. Is Kansas is a very, very good Big 12 team.
Yeah.
And then I said Luke Altmaier's a baller. The offensive line needs reworked. Zy Chrysler, and I don't have the number in front of me. I know Joey Wagner from Illini Inquirer tweeted out. Zy Chrysler's PFF grade on passing plays, passing protection, was like the worst in Power 5 this season. He just his feet were in glue. His feet were in quicksand. I don't know if he's hurt. He dealt with an injury in camp, so I'm not sure what's going on. But the O-line needs reworked. Something needs changed. Maybe you put Pearl on one side, Adams on the other at tackle, book in the line, and then you fill the holes in between. I don't know. Something needs to change there. But the positive was, this is 2 weeks in a row that you're down at halftime, and you come back. Week 1, you win. You do beat Toledo. Week 2, you come back and make it a respect. Like if someone looks at the box score or looks at the final score, says Kansas won 34-23 in Kansas, I think most people will be like, oh, that's probably a pretty good game. When all actuality, it wasn't. It was kind of a beatdown. So the way that they go in at half and they switch things up and they make coaching adjustments and all that is a great positive. But you got to come out from the kickoff like that. That's it's the basketball thing. We talk about that with basketball all the time, where they come out and they fall behind. Like it's an Illinois thing, apparently. So there are some positives. Those were my 2 things. Was the line needs reworked. Kansas is better than we thought, and at least this team is making halftime adjustments. That's where I'm at. And did you look at what Toledo did?
Yes. Yeah. Who did they play?
They beat Texas Southern 71-0 or something like that.
Yeah.
So Kansas is probably going to win 8 to 10 games. Toledo is probably going to win 10 to 12 games. So you're not playing cupcakes here. These are 2 quality opponents. I'm hoping this is the same thing. And I talked about it after the game last week. I'm hoping it's an Indiana situation from last year. That was week 2. They lost at Indiana. and things really got ironed out from there. They used that Indiana game as let's not fully tear it down, but let's do a reset, and the defense took off. So hopefully that's what happens today.
Let me ask you this. I'm not going to argue with you because I don't think you're wrong, and I do think there is potential for that. On the offensive side of the ball, you have to like what you've seen from Luke Altmaier to an extent.
Yes.
And you hope your defense can turn it around. Do you have the offensive weapons to be as competitive as you want to be?
I believe, and I think this is, I don't think this is hot take. I think this is common knowledge. The wide receivers are way ahead of the running backs.
Yes.
Reggie Love and Josh McCray, and this could go back to the O-line. I don't watch enough O-line to know. Like, I'm a general watcher. I watch the ball. I know Jeremy Warner. He watches the line a lot when he watches games. I watch the ball, so I'm not watching what the line is doing. So maybe there's not holes, but the running backs have looked like non-explosive. Josh McCray looks slow. Reggie Love, when he has a seam, he can get up and go. But McCray looks a little slow. And we saw Caden Fagan, one run of Caden Fagan. He gained like 6 yards, so he looked okay with one run. But wide receiver is way ahead of running back. Your running game so far has been Luke Altmaier, and no one expected that. So you do need to see some improvement from the running backs. But I think the receivers are there. I think Pat Bryant's great. You got to get Isaiah Williams the ball. I mean, you follow me on Twitter. You saw it. It took, I think, more. Did he have his first catch in the second half?
I think it might have been. If it wasn't, it was late in the first.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, there are ways to get him the ball without dropping back and making him get open. You can do the little pop pass that NFL teams are doing. Or there was that one play in the opener that I loved where he came in motion and it looked like it was going to be a sweep across the formation, but he took the handoff and immediately turned back around and went back to where he came from. And he gained like 15, 20 yards. Like, do those type of things. There are ways to get a person the ball without dropping back and throwing it to him and making a 5'9" dude that isn't the biggest, but he's the quickest, get open. So that's my biggest offensive thing is you got to get Isaiah the ball. He's the best playmaker on your team.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree. I think that, the receiving core is ahead of the running back group, but you have to get the running back group going in order to open up the receiving. I mean, that's just football 101. Like,
because if you do play action, they're not gonna. Right. It's not going to work if your running game's not working. Our buddy South Bend Hawk kind of thought Jim Leonard would have a bigger impact on this team. It's tough because he's not a coach. He's an analyst. So he's not able to do as much. I know people have already been calling for them to demote Henry and make Leonard a DC, but you're not going to do that at that point. Someone asked Bielema today if he was going to take defensive play calling duties away from Aaron Henry after 2 weeks. And it's like, no, that's overreaction. No. You can't do that.
No, I mean, I think you have to go off the, I don't want to call it the assumption, but like you mentioned, I think that we're going to find out that at the end of the year, with these 2 losses are against 2 really good teams. Well, and that's a really good MAC team and a, top half at least Big 12 team. I mean, I think that's what you got to hope that that's what you see here, because what you're going to get this weekend isn't going to be any easier. But then after that, there's some wins on the schedule if you can get it together. So we'll just have to see what happens.
That's what Adam McHugh, thanks for hopping in, joins us and chimes in with this. If Illinois plays better defensively against Penn State or somehow even wins, could it be that the defense just struggles against dual threat quarterbacks? The Lions QB is a traditional pocket passer. I mean, very true. What's the Toledo? Finn. Desmond? Daquan Finn from Toledo and Jalen Daniels are dual threat, hit you both ways quarterback. Yeah. That could very well be it. I'm trying to think of what's Illinois have left. See if we can go through, see what they got. Aller is more of a traditional for Penn State. I believe I have no idea about FAU. No clue. Purdue, Hudson Card's a little bit like Luke Altmaier. I mean, Illinois was recruiting Hudson Card to be their quarterback, so there's that. Nebraska, who knows what they're going to have in a month. Who knows if Sims is still going to be it. If it is, he is a runner. Talia has the legs. So, yeah, it just varies. But that's a very good thought. That's a very good thought. It could be very true.
Could be.
What do we have here? So this coming up next week, I know we talked about Kansas a lot more than I thought we would. Coming up is Penn State, noon kickoff on Fox. Penn State's a 14-point favorite, over-under set at 49. Penn State this season 2-0 against the spread. Illinois 0-2 against the spread. Bielema's career 3-3 against Penn State. The Nittany Lions have won 7 of the last 10. But I believe Illinois won the most recent, right? Was that just last year, the 9 overtime game, or was that 2
No,
years?
that was 2021.
Okay, 2 years ago. Did they not play last year?
I don't remember. That game wasn't last year, though.
No Penn State last year. Okay, so 2 years ago was the historic 9 overtime game.
Yeah.
First thing I want to touch on is the big noon kickoff. Just fiasco.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to start. I mean, I just go back to what my tweet said. Like, how do you announce it? And then 2 hours later, we were like, nah. Like,
yeah,
I could understand if you announce it and then a couple days later, you're like, okay, actually, no, never mind. But 2 hours? It's like, so that thought had to be in your mind when you announced Champaign.
I didn't know the timeline of all of this. I saw the tweet. Actually, somebody sent me the tweet, and I retweeted it that they were coming to Champaign, which I didn't remember if that was like, because I knew the game was the noon game. But I didn't know if we had already known that they were coming there. I didn't remember. I don't pay attention to Fox's stuff. Like, I don't think anybody really does. I think most people watch Game Day as opposed to Big Noon Kickoff. But the point is, I wasn't sure the timeline of all this. So is that exactly how it panned out? Like, they tweeted out that they announced that they were coming to Champaign, and then 2 hours later they announced they're going back to Boulder?
They tweeted it out. I sent it to my buddies because I knew Champaign had the Fox game, and I thought they announced a while ago that Big Noon Kickoff was coming with them.
I thought that was the case too, but I don't.
And then they did tweet it. They tweeted out a screenshot.
Yeah, I retweeted
our
it.
next
Somebody
stop
sent it to me.
is Champaign, and then I believe it was 2.5 hours later. They said they deleted the Champaign one, and Gus Johnson said on air that they were staying in Colorado because that's where they were.
Let's see. Yeah, I'm looking at the timeline here. Yeah, okay, so it's been deleted. So somebody sent it to me at 2:02 p.m. That's when I tweeted it out, and then
here we go.
By 2:11, or no, by 4:48 is when.
Yes.
So they changed
the News Gazette article has a paragraph. Illinois had promoted the network's planned appearance since early August, calling on fans to flood Grange Grove for the 2-hour show's inaugural visit leading up to the Orange Out against Penn State. So we were right that they had told at least Illinois, and Illinois had started promoting that, hey, Big Noon Kickoff is going to be here at Grange Grove, and then they're like, no, you know what? We're not, it's BS. Like, I understand it because Illinois lost. Like, no one wants to go to Champaign. Dion is the hot thing right now, so go ahead. But I feel like it's just a bad look. And I know Illinois fans are the only ones upset. No one else in the country cares. I don't agree with it, but whatever.
I mean, do we think this move happens if Illinois beats Kansas? This move probably happens. Or this move probably doesn't happen. They probably still come to Champaign. But
probably.
Do you think this is more because Illinois looked awful through 3 quarters, mixed with the Dion thing, or do you think this is just the Dion thing? Because my theory here, and we kind of touched on this last week, I think the national people are riding this Dion thing as long as it lasts. Because I don't think it lasts all season. I think eventually they come back to earth. And and the other thing too is we're in this early part of the season where there are not as many great key matchups. Like,
that is my thing.
Like
They're
the
not
fact
dumping
that
Illinois and Penn State for Colorado USC. It's Colorado State.
yeah,
So I think what
they don't
happened,
even have that game. That game is an ESPN. It's a 10 p.m. ESPN game.
first time since Big Noon Kickoff started, that Big Noon Kickoff is at a different location than Gus and Joel.
I think they're just writing up the Dion thing as long as they can. Because
So
I do think eventually that thing is going to fizzle out. Like they're going to lose some games. They're not going to be I mean, they may still, be a top 25 team by the end of the year.
That's
but
what I was
like,
getting at right here. And
they're
I think
not going to be
might,
the hot story all season long. They're
what
just
I'm about to say is probably part of why they did it. Week 2, I understand. Colorado, Nebraska, Zion's first home true big test. I understand that. After this Colorado State game, they go to Oregon, and then they host USC. So there's 2 losses right there probably, and the hype will die.
Right,
So they're like,
exactly.
let's just ride it one more week.
Right. It sucks because, yes, obviously we're Illinois fans. Like, that's why we're saying that it sucks. And you're right, nobody else cares.
No one
because
else
of this.
cares.
But it's the fact that, like, they have been promoting this for however long, at least a month.
Yeah.
Like, we have it's expected this going to be there. I don't know what sort of planning goes into this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know how the logistics of it work. I know, like, game days, they don't announce where they're going at least until like a week beforehand. I don't know how long in advance they really figure this stuff out. I'm sure Fox is the same way. But if they were planning for this for a whole month, and then they decided to, like, the last minute, like, we're not going to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Like, that's the shitty thing. If that's not how it played out, then I don't really think it matters all that much. But they're clearly just riding the Dion wave, and that's fine. Like, let them do it. I get it. Illinois Penn State is not that sexy of a thing. It's still going to be the game. It's still the noon Fox. Yeah. That's going to be the big game on at noon. Like, everybody's going to be watching that. Great, good for that. But if there was a lot of planning that went into this, I think it's a lot worse of a situation.
Yeah. So for the game, 14-point spread.
There's a game.
I know the last time these 2 teams met, Illinois came out on top in kind of a crazy game. Illinois debuted the barge package, if you remember that, with 8 offensive linemen in the formation. What are your thoughts heading in? I as most Illini fans, I'm probably not very confident.
No, I mean, I think that it's been well documented on the show by you and by other people across the country that Penn State looks like a legitimate team, like a legitimate Big Ten contender, college football playoff contender type of team. Illinois does not, like at all. I would be happy if Illinois kept this within a couple touchdowns. I don't think they will. I think Penn State is too good. And I expect this to be pretty ugly pretty quickly. But I would love to be proven wrong. That game a couple of years ago, as you talked about, was fluky. Penn State wasn't as good then as they are now. Neither was, I don't know. Illinois was in a different situation last year or 2 years ago. I'm not expecting much. I think, what did we say the spread is 14? I think I'd take the over on that. Yeah. But that's just me.
Yeah, I agree. I don't really have much insight other than I agree with what Logan said. I think Penn State's probably going to run all over Illinois. Drew Allar's going to do whatever he wants, throw it to whoever he wants. And Penn State's probably going to win by 3 or 4 touchdowns. Fun fact, the last time Penn State visited Champaign, I made my freezing cold takes debut. Did you ever see that?
Probably, but refresh me.
It was a Friday night game, and I was on the Illinois game. So at sportscast time, it was the third quarter. The third quarter had just started. They had just come out for halftime. I think it was 24-21. It was a close game. Third quarter had just started. I have to go out of the stadium. I go do my live shot in the parking lot. And in my live shot, I say, Illinois is looking pretty good. They look like a legit Big Ten team. Final score, 63-24 Penn State. Someone recorded me from their house and sent it to Freezing Cold Takes. And they got a hold of it. I stand by what I said at the time. It was a 3-point game against a top 15 team. I stand by it. What happened after that, I can't control.
Yeah.
Up until that point, they looked okay. They looked pretty good.
Yeah, that's fair.
I still have that bookmarked.
That's good. Here's my question for you.
Yeah.
So last year, we know Illinois had a fairly successful football season compared to years past. Had a legitimate, one of the best running backs in the country, had one of the best secondaries in the country, like a good football team for Illinois standards. As far as the opponents last year, of the Big Three in the Big Ten, they went to Michigan, and as we know, nearly won that game.
Yeah.
If Penn State would have came to Illinois in Week 3 of the season last year, you think Illinois would have beat Penn State?
No, probably not.
I'm just curious. I mean, do you think if Illinois had a home game against, because I don't think this, I think we're going to realize, and I think we already know it, this team is not as good as they were last year. I just don't think there's any way we can establish that, knowing like what this team lost. Like it's just not. But we also didn't get that chance last year to play one of those teams, Ohio State, Michigan, or Penn State at home.
Yeah.
Do you think we could have pulled off a win against one
Not
of those
at Week
teams?
3, later in the year maybe. Week 3 is kind of where Illinois caught their stride. I don't even remember who Week 3 was last year. Are you looking at it?
This week was Chattanooga. They won 31-0.
Yeah.
At least that same weekend. Ish. Yeah. Virginia the week before, and then Chattanooga. And then the week after that was at Wisconsin, where they won 34-10.
Yeah.
I don't really know what I'm getting at. I'm just thinking about it, of the three. That's, again, we get Penn State this year at home. I kind of wish we had Penn State at home last year, is what I'm getting at. I think that would have been a better chance for an Illinois win against a team like that. This year, I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, I don't either. We'll talk. We'll each make our pick and pick your pick, but I think you all know where we are heading. In the Big Ten last week, Indiana crushed Indiana State 41-7. Michigan beat UNLV 35-7. Ohio State, same score over Youngstown State. Penn State beat Delaware 63-7. Wisconsin did fall in Pullman. I think it's Pullman, Washington. 31-22 to Washington State. Colorado beat Nebraska 35-14. Purdue got their first win. Ryan Walters 24-17 at Virginia Tech. Did you see there was like a 6-hour rain delay in that game? It was a noon kickoff and finished at like 8 o'clock at night.
Notre Dame was the same way.
Notre Dame was the same way, yes.
Yeah.
Iowa won the Cyhawk Trophy 20-13. Brian Ferentz falls even farther behind his 25 points per game contract buyout. Michigan State beat Richmond 45-14. Northwestern 38-7 win for Northwestern. I almost bet that because they were a 1-point underdog. I was like, there's no way Northwestern loses to UTEP. But I did not, and they won by 31. Maryland beat Charlotte 38-20, Minnesota 25, Eastern Michigan 6, and Rutgers beat Temple 36-7. Just want a quick mention. We will not go into details because we don't want to, really. Mel Tucker is in some hot water. He is currently suspended for sexual misconduct or sexual harassment.
Is that the latest? I've heard both. I guess I haven't been following it close enough.
Brett McMurphy is he from Stadium, the Action Network? I think he's the
Action Network. I don't know who that belongs to, but
he kind of broke the news that he was fired, but then it came out that he's suspended until there's some hearing or something coming up. But he's in some legal proceedings with a sexual violence activist that says he did some things. So interesting times in Michigan State. That school cannot stay out of trouble. There's some, but tough times for the Spartans right now. They have, who do they play this week? I guess we'll get into that in a little bit. They play Washington. They host Washington. That's about all I'm going to say. I don't. Something similar happened last year. Not similar situation, but they had that fight against Michigan last year, and they play Illinois the next week without 8 of their best players, and they beat Illinois. So it's like in these situations, you just never know what's going to happen with a team. But it's
Right.
there's some stuff happening in the Spartans program right now.
Do you dive into the the conspiracy theories? Some of
I'm not gonna confirm or deny that was the first thing I texted to a couple of my buddies.
It's the first thing I thought about.
Like, that's the very first thing I thought when I saw it. But I'm not gonna throw that rumor out there. But it's on top of everyone's mind, I believe. So we'll see what happens with that one. This week in the Big Ten, there is a Friday night game, Virginia at Maryland, and then all the other are Saturday. You got Penn State, Illinois, Louisville against Indiana. That one's in Indianapolis. Georgia Southern at Wisconsin, Minnesota at North Carolina. I love this game. Northwestern at Duke. I'm like, if there's a more perfect college football game, I challenge you to find it. That's like not a traditional rivalry. I just think Northwestern and Duke, they align so well.
They do. They do. It's perfect. One of them is significantly better than the other, but
at least this year, not historically.
Yeah, that's true.
Western Michigan at Iowa, Virginia Tech at Rutgers, Western Kentucky at Ohio State, Washington at Michigan State, Northern Illinois at Nebraska, Bowling Green at Michigan, and Syracuse at Purdue. So not a great slate this week, but that's neither here nor there. We'll pick your pick here in a little bit. Let's do our rankings real fast. I don't know how much you changed. I made a couple.
I made some changes. I made a lot more changes this week than I did last week.
Okay. I need to update where we at. Okay. What do you got?
All right, let's start at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely made some changes. Okay. 14, 13, 12. I moved Indiana down to the bottom spot. I know they got a win against Indiana State. They're 1-1 on the season. But judging other things around them, I moved them down a spot.
Okay.
I have Nebraska at 13. They are 0-2, but their two losses are two legitimate college football programs.
Yes.
One of them being a fellow Big Ten team that I have much higher on this list, and one of them being the surging Colorado team. So I didn't want to put them in the bottom spot. I do think they're better than Indiana. They might even be better than Northwestern, but they do have two losses, so I had to leave them somewhere. And then I have Northwestern at 12. I kind of went back and forth on some of these, but as you talked about, big win over UTEP. That's not nothing. So I put them at 12. So Indiana 14, Nebraska 13, Northwestern 12.
Okay. I have the same three, just in different order. I still have Northwestern at the bottom. I know they won, but it is UTEP, and I don't know that they're going to win another game all season. So I keep Northwestern down there. I've got Nebraska at the bottom, or at 13. I mean, this is more just of an eye test. They're a mess. They're just an absolute mess. They don't have a quarterback. They can't get out of their own way. So I got them at 13 and Indiana at 12. Who did Indiana? Indiana hung tight with Ohio State for the most part, and then kind of blew out Indiana State, who's an FCS team. But they've got to win at least, so I got them ahead of Nebraska and ahead of Rutgers. All right, who's next?
All right, 11, I have Rutgers. 2-0 on the season. Big win over Temple. Great. Good for them. Michigan State at 10, an interesting case. On the field, they're 2-0. That's wonderful. Off the field, a lot of a mess. I have no idea what to think about it. So I did move them down a spot despite their win over Richmond. They go to Washington this week. Or no, they host Washington this week. I don't see that faring well for them, but we'll have to see. But I have them at 10. And then I moved Illinois all the way down to 9.
Wow.
I had them pretty high. But
judging at 6.
Judging by what happened around them, they didn't look great in the first half of this game against Kansas. I know Kansas is what we just talked about as a good team, but just based on other things that did happen this week, I moved them all the way down there. So I have Rutgers 11, Michigan State 10, Illinois 9.
Wow. Okay. 11. I did move them up a couple spots. I had them lower than you did originally. I've got Purdue at 11. They were at 13 for me. I moved them up a couple spots to 11. And then ahead of them, I've got Rutgers. Rutgers 2-0 against nobodies, but they are 2-0. They've taken care of business. And I've got Michigan State at 9. Again, 2-0 against nobodies. Purdue did lose at home to Fresno State. So I got a couple 2-0 teams ahead of Purdue. Number 8. Is that where you got Purdue?
Yes. I have Purdue at 8. I didn't want to put them lower than some of these teams, but they actually won a game against a Power 5 team on the road. So that's certainly not nothing. So I have Purdue at 8, yes. All right, 7. I have Maryland. At 7. 2-0, win over Charlotte. They host Virginia this week. I don't know. I like Maryland there. In Wisconsin, I moved Wisconsin down 2 spots to number 6. Thought about moving them even lower. Thought about having them higher, but I felt like 6 made sense. They did lose a road game, but Washington State's not nothing. So I moved them down 2 spots to 6. So Purdue 8, Maryland 7, Wisconsin 6.
I've got Wisconsin 8. I had them at 5, moved them down to 8. Similar situations to Illinois. Went on the road and lost double digits to a Power 5 school that you're probably – well, I don't think Illinois is better than Kansas. I do think Wisconsin's better than Washington State. By the end of the year, I think it'll probably be pretty obvious. Sure. But just as of now, I got Wisconsin at 8. They're still working some stuff out. And I've got Illinois at 7. I guess more so you're going with I test right now, and I did that with Wisconsin, but I'm not with Illinois. I'm going with what I think they are, and I left them at 7. So they were 7 last week. Even though they lost, I had Wisconsin drop below them, and I had Minnesota jump up in front of Illinois. So 8 Wisconsin, 7 Illinois, and 6 Maryland.
I didn't make any changes last week. And this week, I think I don't want to say I overreacted, but in some situations, I might have tried to overcorrect a little bit. But I mean, I don't think that
nothing you said has been off base.
No,
and it's your rankings. Who cares?
Exactly. Nobody's going to care. What number am I at?
5.
Okay.
Minnesota or Iowa?
I have Minnesota at 5. 2-0 on the year. Beat Eastern Michigan. They go to Carolina this week. It'll be tough. We'll see if they can pull that one out. But they're one of the better teams, I think, in the conference. So I have Minnesota 5. I have Iowa 4. Iowa State's not great. But again, we're 2 weeks into the season, and nobody's played 2 games against quality opponents. So, Minnesota 5,
the 2 hardest games.
4.
Nebraska,
That's very possible.
Nebraska and Illinois have probably played the 2 hardest
Nebraska
games.
probably has.
Nebraska,
but yes. Illinois is probably second.
Yeah.
So Minnesota 5, Iowa 4.
I don't love it, but I have Maryland 5. They are 2-0. They struggled against Charlotte, but they scored like 21 or 28 fourth quarter points or something like that to win it by like 3 scores, I think. I don't love it, but I got Maryland at 5, Iowa at 4. I think I've had them there the entire season so far. Any changes 1 through 3?
No. I left it the same. Penn State 3, Ohio State 2, Michigan 1. Again, is it possible that they finish the season in a different order? Yes, absolutely. But to this point, none of them have really done anything to make me want to change those things. So I left them as it is from last week. Actually, from all 3 weeks, I've left it the same.
Yeah. Mine's the same as last week, but not as week 1. I've got Ohio State 3, Penn State 2, Michigan 1. So
say that again. Ohio State 3, Penn State 2, Michigan 1.
Okay. 1 through 14. Logan has Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Maryland, Purdue, Illinois, Michigan State, Rutgers, Northwestern, Nebraska, Indiana. I've got Michigan, Penn State, Ohio State, Iowa, Maryland, Minnesota, Illinois, Wisconsin, Michigan State, Rutgers, Purdue, Indiana, Nebraska, and Northwestern. In other college football news, I didn't put this in here, but I got to mention it. 2 years in a row, our Salukis go up north,
right,
and beat an FBS school. Last year was a Big Ten school.
Yeah.
This year, the Dogs beat the Huskies.
Yeah.
Northern Illinois. Barn
Big
burner.
dub.
14-11, I think. Just a terrible game to watch, and boy, did I watch it. I went back and looked. So these two, they won the year before, so that would have been 2021. They lost by 1 score at Kansas State. They almost beat Kansas State. 2020, they did not play in FBS. 2019, they beat UMass, who's in FBS. So 3 out of their last 4 matchups, they've won their FBS game, albeit UMass is one of the worst programs in FBS. So good on you, Nick Hill. Keep it up. Let's keep the momentum. Last year they were up to like number 10, and then they just fell off a cliff and missed the playoffs. But always got to get a Dogs mention in when we can.
I love it. No, that's a big win for Southern. I think they'll compete this year.
I think so too. They're 15th in the rankings today.
Yeah, I think Nick's got a pretty good squad. That was a big win for sure.
Yeah. But in the big time news, is Texas back?
Yeah.
Are you gonna say it? Oh, I need to see more. It's week 2. I need them to go like 10-2.
I mean, you beat Alabama and Tuscaloosa. Like, that's not nothing. Like, I understand.
I agree.
What's the definition of back? Like, is Texas a national
when was the
title
last time?
contender?
When was the last time they were close to a Big 12 title?
Well, we've had this discussion recently, not on the show, but
in your relegation chart, what league would they be in?
Lower than you might think.
First of all, what are the leagues? Did you just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or something like that?
Yeah, I didn't name them anything fun or anything yet.
And each league has how many teams? 20? 10?
I wasn't ready for this. I don't remember.
We haven't gone over this. I just know you did it. I don't know the parameters or anything.
The way I did it is I believe I did 14 teams in each league, because that allows you to play everybody once. If you do anything more than that,
right,
you're not going to play everybody.
You have to play everybody.
So
once.
I don't think you should do it at college football if you can't play everybody. Like that's why the Premier League does it so well. Is like you get to play everybody twice. We're not going to play everybody twice at this level.
I love the European soccer system.
But
I love the relegation.
If you base it off of most recent success, Texas is nowhere to be found. Like they're just not.
3?
I have them.
Level 4?
I have them at the second to the last team in level 2.
Okay, so they're
just based on. I have this whole thing. I haven't looked at this in a few weeks. Like this was a very quick thing that I started to do, but basing it off of basically national titles, runner-ups, playoff appearances, New Year's 6 bowls, top 25 finishes, non-New Year's 6 bowls, and total wins and strength of some sort of strength of schedule type thing. Even I think at one point I even tried to factor in revenue to an extent to try to find a way to get Texas into this thing. They're still like at the bottom of League 2. So I don't know. The point is, in the last 10 years, I have this now. Texas has not made a playoff, so they haven't won a national championship. They haven't been a runner-up. They've been to a New Year's 6 bowl 1 time.
Yeah.
They finished in the top 25 in the last 10 years 4 times. They've been to 6 non-New Year's 6 bowls. And then they have 69 total wins of the last 10 years before this season.
You're kind of making my point for me. I need to see more. I know it's probably the best non-conference win in a long time for any program.
Yeah.
But I need to get to like week 8 or 9 and then be
fair.
Fixture as the Big 12 favorite before I say they're back.
No, that's fair. And I get that. And I understand what you're saying. I think in terms of, are they in position to compete to make a playoff this year? As of right, absolutely. Like they have already done what they need to do. So, but yeah, no, you're right. I mean, they haven't been much of a powerhouse the last 10 years or so. So, but I certainly think they're built to do it again. But we'll have to see. But it was a huge win. I mean, that's to win in Tuscaloosa. Nobody wins in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
So good for them. Good for Texas.
Non-conference loss for Saban or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. It's nuts.
The other thing, Colorado, we talked about them with the whole Big Noon kickoff thing. They were a little sluggish. I thought I was going to be spot on with my, it was one game against TCU where they also gave up 42 points. Nebraska kind of stifled them there for first half. And then things really got ratcheted up, and they won by, I think, 3 scores. What was the final score? 35-10 maybe? 35-14. So, yeah, they won by 3 scores. They're still fun, man. They're still fun. And those 2 games I talked to you about, Oregon and USC, of course, they're the Saturdays that I'm going to be on my honeymoon. So, if I pull up YouTube TV on the cruise ship, Christy might slap the phone into the Atlantic. So
you may not
probably
get it.
probably gonna miss them. So a little upset about that, but yeah, they're fun. I still think they're about a 7 or 8 win team. I think they lose both of those games.
Yeah,
and probably 1 or 2 more. The Pac-12 has 8 schools ranked, most in their history, and George Kliavkoff just ran that freaking conference into the ground. It's so looking at it now, where you see all the football success that they're having. The fact that it's not going to be a thing next year is just massive failure on his part. Yep. Massive failure.
It's a giant debacle. No, the Colorado's they're fun. They're a fun story now. They're going to have a good year. I don't think they're going to have, I don't think we're going to be talking about them as a, playoff contender come late October. But they're a fun story now, and I think they got a good future with Deion. He clearly has a way to bring kids in, and people want to play for him. So we'll see how long this train lasts. It's been fun so far, for sure. Yeah. That conference, though, I agree. Yeah, right now it's great, but it's an absolute disaster. Yeah. So.
Okay, I think it's time to pick your pick, Logan.
Yeah.
Before we get into that, what are we on here? Before we get into that, can I just – your boy is 22-14 at the sports book this college football season. 13-5 this weekend.
Congratulations.
Just saying. Started the college football year a little hot here. Don't ask me about NFL because it's just as bad as college is as good. So we're not going to touch on that. But we got 10 games we'll go last week. I went 5-1 again last week, so I'm 10-2. Logan went 3-3. He is 7-5.
You know what? Last week
you were pandering.
I was pandering, but I was also just kind of I was just having some fun with it,
I know.
Just wanted to do some things, do something a little different. I took Alabama way too high last week. Obviously, that was a mistake.
I told you I was staying away from that one.
I know. Last week I was just kind of having a little fun.
Texas +7 was one of those money makers for me.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. I didn't do very well last week, but good news is we have several more weeks of this to go. I have plenty of time to catch up,
and you likely will. All right, here's our games this week. Louisville against Indiana. That one is in Indianapolis. Number 14 LSU at Mississippi State. Number 15 Kansas State at Missouri. Minnesota at number 20 North Carolina. Virginia Tech at Rutgers. Number 11 Tennessee at Florida. BYU at Arkansas. Syracuse at Purdue. Pitt at West Virginia, TCU at Houston, and finally, the 11th game that we will pick is number 7 Penn State at Illinois. I believe all of them are single-digit spreads, so should be 10. Well, other than Penn State, Illinois, should be pretty close. Should be pretty close games. You get the first pick.
So you're saying I can't take Penn State, Illinois first?
We both. You can pick it, but no, you can't take it first.
All right, fair enough. You picked some good ones here. Good ones in the sense that yes, there's not a lot of what I feel.
There's
like
a lot of schools that I feel like we won't talk about much.
That's true.
There's a lot of random teams.
Okay. Well, this is a good list, and I haven't, as I mentioned before we started, I didn't really get a good chance to look at this before we got on here, so I'm not super prepared, but we're gonna roll with this anyway. I am going to take with my first pick.
Do we need a buzzer? Come on.
Probably. I'm going to take Arkansas.
Okay.
I'm going to take Arkansas at home against BYU. It's one of the largest spreads we have. I feel like I'm I'm not super confident with that pick. I'm already starting off poorly. That's probably one I'm going to lose. But I'm going to take Arkansas.
All right, give me LSU over Mississippi State.
That's fine. You can have it. I didn't want to touch that.
You
either.
didn't want that one?
No.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I don't trust Brian
I'll take
Kelly.
LSU over Mississippi State. I probably shouldn't. In hindsight, I already see one that I probably should have taken, but I don't think Mississippi State's very good. So I'm going to go with LSU to bounce back. I don't even know what they did last week, but I don't think they're that bad.
No, you're probably right. That probably should have been the direction I went. I saw Brian Kelly and I just got. Yeah. All right. So that's wonderful. 2 games off the board. I get the next pick. Indiana sucks, man. They're bad. I mean, I don't know how good Louisville is going to be, but I mean, 2 wins already. I'll take Louisville. Are you going to that game? You going up to Indy?
I don't think so.
That's a shame. Yeah, I'll take Louisville over the Hoosiers.
I want to keep my Saturdays at home where I can watch 7 games at the same time and not watch one. Yeah. So
got it. Yep, I'll take your Cardinals against the Hoosiers.
For the record, I think Louisville is gonna. Game day might be in Louisville in a couple weeks. I'm just gonna throw that out there because they host Notre Dame about week 6, and I think both teams are going to be undefeated going into that game.
That'd be fun.
I think game day might be here. I'm taking North Carolina over Minnesota. I don't know why I didn't take that initially. I'm taking UNC to beat Minnesota at Chapel Hill.
No faith in the Gophers, huh?
No.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I'm going to go a different direction here. I'm going to go with a team that was very good last season, has seemed to have struggled a little bit out the gate here.
TCU.
I'm going to take TCU. I will take TCU at Houston. Houston's not great.
They almost lost to Rice.
TCU's better than their record might show. They didn't look great against Colorado, but I think Colorado's on a tour of vengeance. So I'll take TCU in that one.
I've said this on the show before. I'm going to see if you remember. There are 2 schools that I don't think either of us should ever pick on any Pick Your Pick. Do you know who they are?
One is Missouri.
Yes.
And one is
in the state that I currently reside.
Kentucky?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which one is on our Pick Your Pick this week?
Missouri.
Yeah, we're not picking Missouri. Kansas State. Emaw. Isn't that they're saying? Emaw?
Yeah.
Something like that? Yeah, Kansas State. I know it's in Columbia, but I really like Kansas State. I like their quarterback, Will Howard. And they lost me some money this week, so give me the Wildcats.
So you just moved to Louisville and all of a sudden, like, down goes the Wildcats? Like, it's, it's
a lot of their fan base is the reason. I'm going to be completely honest. Both of them, actually. Missouri and Kentucky.
Oh, that's fair. All right. Let's see. We got a few left here for me to choose. I don't like that one. I don't love that one. I'm going to take it anyway. I'm going to take Tennessee at Florida.
Damn. Okay.
Tennessee at Florida. I like Florida, but I like Tennessee better. Yeah. I mean, no, they're fine. Tennessee on the road at the Swamp. Yeah, I'm going to go Tennessee. Why not?
Okay. Yeah, I don't like any of the last 3 at all. We got Virginia Tech at Rutgers, Syracuse at Purdue, and Pittsburgh at West Virginia. I'm going to take Purdue. I'm going to take Purdue at home. I don't think they lose 2 games in a row at home. I don't know a whole lot about Syracuse. I know they have their quarterback returned, Schrader, who I believe he returned. I don't even know. Give me Purdue. Put some confidence in Ryan Walters.
I love it. I'll take another home team. I will take West Virginia. No reason as to why, but I'm taking West Virginia, and I'll let you have the.
That's a fun game. That West Virginia is that the backyard brawl?
Yes,
that's it. Yeah,
that's
always fun. Okay, so I will take. Man, this one's tough.
Is it?
I didn't like what I saw from Virginia Tech. I watched that Virginia Tech Purdue game. I did not like what I saw. But can I trust Rutgers? We'll go Big Ten. Give me Rutgers. Give me Rutgers to start 3-0. How about that?
All
And
right, we'll
Penn
take
State at Illinois. Taking the Illini again?
No, absolutely not. Despite what my shirt says. No, I'm not taking Illinois. I'm taking Penn State. As I said earlier, I would be happy if Illinois kept this within 14 points.
Yeah.
I don't think they will. I don't think this Illinois team is quite what we hope they would be. And I think this Penn State team is legit. So would love it if they can keep it within 2 touchdowns. But no, I'm taking Penn State here.
Ditto. I will take Penn State. I'll even take the points. I'm just going to throw that out there right now. If it stays at 14, I'm throwing maybe multiple units on Penn State. I don't know that I'm ready to give out any other gambling suggestions, and I don't take my advice and do it responsibly if you do that. But it was a big week here. It's legal in Kentucky now. I don't have to do it all at work. Well, I do because I can't do it online yet for another 2.5 weeks, but it's coming. All right, as we recap, Logan has Arkansas over BYU, Louisville to beat Indiana, TCU to beat Houston, Tennessee over Florida, West Virginia to best Purdue or Pittsburgh, and Penn State to beat Illinois. I've got LSU over Mississippi State, North Carolina to beat Minnesota, Kansas State over Missouri, Purdue to beat Syracuse, Rutgers better than Virginia Tech, and also Penn State over Illinois. All right, anything else football related college wise before we move on?
No, bring on week 3.
Week 3 coming at you. Is there a Thursday game? There's probably a Thursday night game, but I don't know what it is. But there is NFL tonight. We do have the Jets and Bills tonight. I just saw that they're in a severe weather delay. They evacuated the stadium.
That's good.
MetLife. So not sure if there's still an hour and a half. There's still an hour and a half till kickoff, so it might clear out. But that is tonight. The Bears, man. They just
what a mess.
They just can't get
that was awful
over the Packers. The Packers might always have the Bears number from that was ugly.
I mean, I know I said on this show that I was picking the Bears to win the Central.
I picked the Vikings and they lost.
The North. I'm not sticking by that. I clearly saw enough in that game on Sunday to realize that they're not ready for prime time.
Yeah.
But I do think they're better than what we saw on the field. So I will give it that. But no, the Packers will just continue to have their number. The Bears might, have a near perfect season one year, but still lose twice to the Packers. That just would not shock me.
Yeah.
I don't know that Jordan Love is the next Aaron Rodgers, but he looked more than capable of owning the city of Chicago for another 15 years. So not great for Bears fans. Those that I have spoke to, especially one that I work with, was not very thrilled with the outing. But you know what? Next Sunday's a new day, and that's why you play the whole season. So, but no, the Bears looked awful on Sunday.
Yeah, so did the Bengals.
True,
Bengals
yeah.
Absolutely thrashed by the Browns.
Yep.
Won some money on the Packers, lost some money on the Bengals. It was a unique NFL opening day. Real life and fantasy. What else happened? Who were the other? Oh, the Cowboys. Did you watch any of that?
Well, I turned it on after Big Brother ended, and the game was already over, so I turned it off. I did not bother to watch it.
Was that the tipped or the pick six?
I don't remember. It was.
It was.
I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I don't need to watch this. We're done.
If the Cowboys want to be successful this season, and preface this with that type of game is not sustainable, but that's how the Cowboys are going to have to win. You have to take the ball out of Dak Prescott's hands. And you have to have the defense has to make the plays, and that's what happened last night. Now you can't, like I said, you can't rely on your defense to score 2 touchdowns. But if the defense can hold opponents to 15, 20 points a game, and you don't force Dak Prescott to have to win the game for you, the Cowboys could have a really good season. So that was fun to watch for the opener. I was not confident in that. I thought the Giants would win that. I had the Giants in my pick'em to win that game, so I was pleasantly surprised with that. But yeah, the Vikings lost to the Buccaneers. Do you have Red Zone?
No, I do not.
Do you have a Sunday ticket?
No.
I got Sunday ticket this year.
Oh,
there was a really good deal because YouTube TV has it, so I got quite a bit off of it. It's a little overwhelming.
Yeah,
it's tough.
There's a lot to watch.
Red Zone's like so bouncing back and forth. It can be tough to watch, but maybe I just did it wrong because I wanted to see it all. So I had 2 TVs, and they got the multi-view on YouTube TV.
That's
so I was able to have the early window. I had 7 of the 8, and one of the games was doubled up. They did not have the option to where you could have all 8 at the same time. I was like, I don't know where to go. It was crazy. So I don't know how I'm going to watch my football NFL Sundays this year. I don't know if I just stick to Red Zone and just eat the money that I paid on Sunday ticket, because I don't think I'm going to get Sunday ticket again. It is going to come in handy when the Bears are not the national game. So like if me and Christy want to watch the Bears and we normally can't, that'll come in handy. But it's a little overwhelming. Fantasy wise though, I think I'm going to go 5-0.
Congratulations. Proud of you. So happy for you.
Did you ever find a date for your draft, or are you still waiting to draft?
Shut up. God. I wish I didn't draft. You know what? You want to hear this? So I had both of my drafts.
Talk fantasy for hours if you want to talk
fantasy. Both of my drafts were on Labor Day Sunday. Okay.
It's the worst. We used to do that and everyone hated it.
What?
Go ahead. We used to do that Labor Day and everyone hated it, so we stopped.
One of my leagues is always done Labor Day Sunday. The other one, it's usually earlier. I don't know why we did it then, but whatever. At the conclusion of my day of drafting, I had on each league, I had an issue that I was not happy with. One of them happened before the draft started, and one of them happened during the draft. I was not happy with how an injury situation shook out just hours before I drafted.
Oh.
And I was unhappy with my first pick that I took in my other league. Cooper Kupp and Joe Burrow. Both of those 2 names, I feel like are going. I don't want to say Joe Burrow is going to haunt me all season, but that certainly haunted me in week 1.
Yeah.
And the Cooper Kupp situation is going to definitely haunt me for 4 weeks. So I'm not feeling too great about my fantasy season so far. I'm going to be 0-2 to start. It's going to be great. Super excited for it.
Cooper Kupp is part of one of my best fantasy football trades ever. I think I've talked about it on this show.
Acquiring him or
trading him away? Yeah. I traded him for Jamar Chase and a first-round pick last year.
Good for you. That's good.
Yeah. Long term, I think I'm going to go 5-0 this week. I'm in a half-point PPR league with my really close buddies. I scored 56.96 points so far, and I'm going to win.
Brutal.
It was a rough week.
Yeah.
I had 2 guys get shut. Well, I had Drake London get shut out. I had Sky Moore 0.4 points. Luckily, I had Nick Chubb and Chris Olave do double digits. I do have Dalvin Cook and the Jets defense tonight. But brutal week. Luckily, the guy I'm playing has already traded everyone for picks next year. He's tanking already. So if I was playing anybody else this year or this week, I'd be screwed. I also got not lucky, but I got good news, I think, because I got Jonathan Taylor. I drafted him in the 6th round. He fell quite a bit, and I drafted him and put him in my IR, and it sounds like he is going to come back at some point this year fairly soon, so cross my fingers on that. Okay, anything else NFL? That was just kind of a quick note.
No. Glad the season's here, but Yeah, I you talked about the Sunday ticket thing. I've thought about getting Sunday ticket from time to time, but my problem is that there are so many Sundays that I'm not in front of a TV. Like,
Yeah.
I enjoy watching football, but I don't plan my whole weekends around watching football on Sunday. Like, I'll spend more time watching football on Saturday. Like, Sundays, oftentimes, like, I'll go to a movie in the afternoon. Like, so I just never really wanted to spend the money to do that because there's a few days I would use it, but I'm not going to sit there and use it for the whole season. So
yeah, makes sense.
but I'm glad it's here.
After 1 week, I'm not planning on getting it next year, but we'll see what happens. I see there's MLB in here. Go ahead. I don't pay attention to baseball.
I was Crow-Armstrong, Cubs top prospect, got promoted today. I'm sure you knew. I mean, at this point, like,
guess who picked him up 3 weeks ago and put him in my minors?
Oh, congratulations!
This guy.
I'm still obviously glued to baseball because I'm not glued to baseball, but the Cubs are playing well. The PCA thing is interesting. We just went through this whole thing with. They also just brought up Alexander Canario a couple weeks ago, who was one of their top prospects.
I don't know that.
He was acquired in the Chris Bryant trade to the Giants, I think. He got called up a couple weeks ago. I think he has like one plate appearance.
So the Cardinals did with Luke and Baker. He just never played.
Yeah, and I don't know. There's all sorts of reasonings and theories as to why that is, but I'm seeing this whole thing with PCA, and I'm like, I'm sure this isn't what we're gonna do, but I'm sure it's not. I'm glad he's coming up. He's going to be a good defensive option in center field. They can move some guys around. Mike Tauchman's not really hitting anymore. So either way, the Cubs are still competitive, and it's mid-September. So, like, that's enough for me to be happy. I wasn't sure we were going to get that this year. So the fact that I'm excited about a prospect getting promoted and a team that it's competing on September 11th is a win. So I'll leave it there. We can move on.
Yeah. Okay, let's move to top 5. And for the top 5 this year, this is a Logan special. What did you call it? Your favorite things about fall?
Sure. Fall things.
Fall things?
Sure. Yeah. I don't know. Why not?
Okay.
Did you put together a list?
I did, but
yeah.
Is it fall? I mean, I feel like we're not at fall yet.
Well, I mean, it's September. It's football season. I don't know. Is it not? Do you not want to do this? Do you want to pivot and do something totally different?
I already prepared. We're just a little ahead of schedule is all.
Are we, though?
I think so. It's like still 85, 90 degrees outside.
So when does it fall? When does that start?
Into September?
Oh, okay. Well, we can do something different. You didn't.
No, I'm
you
prepared
didn't
for
push
this.
back at all.
I want you to take some control sometimes in the show. Make some decisions.
Oh, I gave you like 4 options.
Fall starts September 23rd.
Well, it's September 11th. I don't know. It's football season. I think that for most people, they'll say football season is the start of fall. So we're just going to do it.
Let's do it. You got the first pick.
Right.
What's the best thing
I get the
about
first
fall?
pick?
Yeah.
I was going to let you have the first pick and take the obvious one. That way I didn't have to take it. I'll trade you my first pick.
Okay. How does that work?
No. That's fine. No, it's fine. I'll take football.
Yeah.
I'll take football. It wasn't going to be my first pick. I wasn't thinking about having the first
Well, then
pick,
don't take it.
Well, no. You know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to take football. It's football. It's whether it's the high school level, the college level, the NFL. It's the best thing there is about fall. I won't argue with it.
Yeah.
You know what?
It is.
You can't. It's. I think for most people, they'll say football season. So I'm not going to disagree with them. I will also say that is the best thing about fall.
That was number 1 on my list.
I figured it would be.
I don't know where else you would go, but so I have a number 2, but I think I'm going to change my rankings. I don't want to give it away, so I'm not going to say anything else. It sounds stupid, but I love hoodies. I just love wearing hoodies.
Yes.
I love hoodie
Attaboy.
season. I think
I was going to say it too.
We're both neither of us are skinny. I don't think neither of us are obese or fat, but a hoodie is just much more comfortable than a t-shirt.
So
I love
give me a
hoodie and jeans weather is
Best weather.
my favorite clothing season. 100%. Anytime that I can wear that out and about, absolutely. That was on my list. It was on my absolutely. I'm there with you. All right. Well, for me personally, football was like the obvious, like, that was like me taking McDonald's.
I think I know where you're going, but
where do you think I'm going to go?
No, go ahead.
I'm going the fall movie season.
Oh. Okay.
You have your summer blockbusters, and then you have your fall award season movies. Usually starts, late September, early October, where the awards movies started to make their rounds. That's one of my favorite things. That's why I oftentimes spend my Sundays at the movie theaters. So for me, that's my number 2 pick. Definitely. Fall movie season.
You could have got that in round 5. So
I know.
Just saying.
See, that's the thing. There's far less strategy in my drafting. It's more of just what is my favorites. So, I know. There's several of these things I might be able to get at the end. So
yeah.
Go ahead.
I was reading the comments.
I saw the comments.
Did not put that on my list.
Not wrong.
Let's see. Where do I go with mine now? I'm going to go with a bonfire.
Had that on my list.
Go with the bonfire. There's not much
on my list.
Christy just said the other day that we should get a projector and like a sheet.
Yep.
And just at night, that's where we go. We did get one of those solo stove smokeless fire pits for wedding gift.
Okay.
So we're excited to bust that out because smoke is the worst part of a bonfire. But give me a bonfire for fall number 2.
I love it. All right, I'll go back to sports. Playoff baseball.
Damn
baseball.
it!
Listen,
I was waiting on that one. I didn't know if you would have it.
Listen, I love playoff baseball, and it's even better when your team is competitive. You and I have both been to playoff baseball games. Have you been to a World Series game? I've been to the best
World Series baseball game ever played. Okay. So
we've both been to World Series games. I don't think, and I've been to a variety of sporting atmospheres.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can top being at a World Series baseball game.
Yeah.
I really don't, especially when your team wins. I don't think that I will ever top that experience for me. Now, I happen to be at a particular game, and you were the same way. But I love playoff baseball. I may not. There are some years where if the Cubs aren't playing very well, I may not watch hardly any baseball all year long. But
yeah,
come middle September, whenever the postseason starts, late September, I'm locked in. I'm glued in. Playoff baseball.
That's
Easy.
what I was going to say. Even watching it on TV, it just has a different feel.
Yep.
I think most postseason sports do. But it's like you turn on the TV, it's a postseason game just by looking at it.
Yep.
You can tell that was a playoff game.
Yep.
Damn it. I was going to take that either here. I'm really mad.
You let that slip?
Yeah.
Why?
I didn't know if you'd go double sports. I thought you might try and get other stuff
fair.
in there.
That's fair. I have another sport on my list too. We'll see if I go there though. But go on. Go on.
Okay. Mine kind of goes back to weather. Having the windows open at night. I
love it.
Like you get home from work, you plop down on the couch. We have our couch is like right next to our sliding door to go out to the back door. When you can have that open all night and you feel and you can kind of smell and feel the outdoors in your house. I love that. So I'm gonna go with windows open at night.
I love it. All right, so I got 2 picks left, right?
Plus, you can turn your air off and save a little cashola.
That's a good point. Excellent point. Especially for those of us that live in the southern part of the country. Are you considered the southern half? Are you?
I said Texas. Kentucky's so borderline. Some people consider it Midwest. Some people consider it South.
You're
Indiana.
Right, you're Indiana. I know we're a little premature on the fall thing. Whatever. Just leave it alone. Okay, I got 2 picks left. I'm not going to take my other sport I do consider it here, but I'm gonna go crock pot season.
Ooh, that's a good one.
This was Allison's recommendation.
Oh, you're getting help on your list now, huh?
Well, not necessarily. I had a list put
We
together.
could have outside counsel.
Shut up. I had a list put together, and I had food just on my list because while fall food isn't my favorite food, there are certain foods in the fall that are certainly up there. Chili season, just crock pot season in general. Yes, I did have help from the outside. Whatever. Sue me. Don't actually. Brett Favre. I'm going to go food / crock pot season.
Okay. I'm going to go food too. I think I can get this at the next pick, but I don't want to let it slip. Pumpkin pie.
That's fair.
Pumpkin pie is probably my favorite pie. I think it's a year-round thing. It doesn't necessarily have to be only in the fall.
Yep.
But I think pumpkin pie is most associated with the fall and Thanksgiving and Christmas and stuff. So I'll take pumpkin pie.
That's fair. All right, I got one pick left.
You do.
There's a particular holiday in the fall. There's a couple of them. It depends on when you think fall is. But there's a couple holidays that fall in the fall, correct?
Fall ends November 30th.
Okay. For a lot of people, a particular holiday would be towards the top of their list. I don't know that you or I are particularly high on this particular holiday.
Well, hold on. This says winter starts December 21st, so fall would end December 20th.
Okay, let's just move on. Move on.
Go ahead.
One of my favorite things to do in the world, now that I own a house, is at midnight on November 1st, I turn on my Christmas lights. I can't. If you know me, you know that I.
So what's your pick?
Putting up less about Halloween. Turning on my Christmas lights on November 1st, November 1st. To me, it's one of the best feelings. It's one of the best feelings there is. I know we're premature. Listen, I know that we're still a month and a half away from this. I don't care. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
What we're doing. How about you? You got one pick left.
I do, and mine is similar to one of your picks.
Okay,
but on a different platform. Fall TV show season.
Not even a thing this year. Although I saw your
Very true.
Singers.
Masked Singer's back.
Yeah.
Survivor comes back.
Yeah, it's true.
But yeah, good point. But most shows start back up in the fall. Hadn't thought about that. But what was your sport? It's throwing me for a loop.
The start of college basketball season.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That definitely starts in October.
Yeah,
that's definitely in the fall. You don't think of it as a fall sport.
No, that's why I was like, what? I was like, are you gonna take high school football? You just took football. You can't take high school football.
No.
Okay.
It's the start of basketball season.
Okay. Logan's 5 fall things: football, fall movie season, postseason baseball, crockpot season, and turning on your Christmas lights.
Yep,
I took hoodies, bonfire, windows open at night, pumpkin pie, and fall TV show seasons.
I love it.
All TV shows start. Do you have any honorable mentions? What else was on your list?
I enjoy the colors. Enjoy the fall colors.
Yep. Colors were on my list.
I just kind of put the weather on here. Was something and this kind of goes back to the whole hoodie thing, but fall weather might be my favorite.
Oh,
weather.
by far.
I love Christmas time, but I'm over the snow by mid-January.
Yeah.
Summertime's nice until it gets too freaking hot. Yeah. Right now, well, not currently right now because it's, windy and cold all day, but mid 70s is probably my favorite, but hoodie and jeans weather, that's my favorite. So, but yeah, that was kind of most of what's on my list. How about you? Do you have any that we didn't get
colors? I had flannels.
Yeah.
To go along with my hoodies.
You're a flannel guy.
Oh, I'm a flannel guy. Yeah. Anytime we go out in the fall or even winter, it's probably a flannel. And then apple pie to go along with my pumpkin pie.
Good. Tailgating. I don't do much tailgating anymore.
I don't either.
You know, I live in a big football town, and I couldn't tell you the last time I was at a tailgate. So,
Yeah.
whatever. Sue me.
All right.
Don't really, Brett Favre. Okay, is that it?
I believe that's it for the top 5. Last thing is movies, TV shows. Big Brother is, I guess Logan's over it.
No, I'm not over it. I'm. It might be a
I'm
hot
going to
topic.
ask you this.
Okay, great. Hit me.
If you're a Big Brother fan and you're not caught up, mute right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. What did Cam do wrong that everyone hates?
I don't know. I don't know. And they whatever it is, they haven't shown it. I truly don't know. I know there was the only thing I've seen is like I don't think he's super nice to America, but I don't know if that's like I have no idea. I don't even know if that's like a thing. I really don't know. And I wonder that myself. I like him, but I also you just never know with the way they edit these shows. Like
That's
sometimes, true. Like again, you're putting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week footage into 3 42-minute long shows that also have to have all these DR sessions and games and all this other stuff. So like you're not going to get the full story. You're just not.
That's
but
true.
I don't know. They haven't shown it. We haven't seen it. I have to just assume like it was just how everything shook out. Like he just wasn't with that group. But he has become public enemy number 1.
Yeah.
I like him. I don't know why he's hated like he is in the house, but again, that could just be the edit that he's giving or that he's getting. I like that he's shaking things up.
Yeah.
I really do. It's
about
time because everything's been pretty straightforward, and
I loved that he started the nomination ceremony and then they interrupted him and he's just like, "Oh God, what? Like, are you serious?" Yeah. But I would have liked if he would have saved or put the pie in the face of Jag and Blue first.
Yeah.
Instead of last, because if he did it first, then they're all sitting around like, "Oh shit." Like, like what's going to happen?
Yeah.
I mean, he's going home next week unless he wins the veto. So
well, yeah, and that
means they're not going to nominate him in case he doesn't.
He has to win an HOH or the veto every single week before he's going to go home. So, but he's going to stir things up while he's still in there.
I loved Suri on Survivor, and I hate her on Big Brother. She's like,
I don't hate her.
Power, like she's like my way or the highway, and people are listening, and I don't get it. Like, why do they keep those vets around? But yeah, I think that's it. I don't think we have anything else. Unless there's anything else you want to talk about?
No, I don't think so.
That's going to do it for us. It's a good hour-and-a-half episode, our longest of this season, I believe.
Welcome to football season.
Yeah, welcome to football season. Wait till football and basketball are going on at the same time. These are going to be like 3 hours long. Basketball team's getting a lot of hype. I see people buying more and more into Illinois, and I'm like, oh boy, here we go again.
Nope.
We'll talk about that more in a couple of weeks or when the games start up in a month, 6 weeks probably. But that's it for now. 55 days. Is it still 55 though, or was that Friday?
It's actually 56 now at 55 in however many hours. It was 58 on Friday.
Oh, okay.
It's 55 now.
Okay. I thought you tweeted 55 on Friday.
I tweeted 58 on Friday.
Okay. I got you. Is he still tweeting? Are we still tweeting? I'm still tweeting. But yeah, that's going to be it. Episode 98. We're creeping up on 100. We will.
What are we going to do for 100? Are we going to do a mailbag?
We can try.
Do we have enough people that would send us in?
We can try. It's like the same people in the chat every episode.
The problem is that our next few weeks are going to be messy.
Very much up in the air. Very much up in the air. So maybe we do one next week and wait for a couple weeks. I don't know. We'll have to talk about that because we're both going to be. You're going to be gone somewhere too, right?
I'm traveling like the week after you are, or something like that. Yeah.
So we'll have one this week from today or something, and then we won't have the show for a little bit, and we'll save our 100th for whenever. But that's good for today. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you're still here or if you're still listening. Like and subscribe the video, the episode, rate and review on Apple, all that good stuff. Follow us on social media. It's on the screen or in the description. We really appreciate it, and we'll continue to do this as long as people listen. So, episode 98. We'll see you next week.
Live long and prosper.
I can't do it with a